Darian Devries and the West Virginia men's basketball team continue to recruit at an elite level. Huge commitment today for the Mountaineers. Top 50 guard. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome in, guys. Welcome to this live edition of Locked On West Virginia. Very much. You guys are amazing. You guys keep making me happier and happier and happier as things go. The show continues to grow, and it's all because of you. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you for being an everyday listener here at Locked On West Virginia, part of my everyday crew. You guys make this all worth it, truthfully. My favorite fans in the country, them West Virginia Mountaineer fans. What news we got today? WVU has added a top 50 player in the class of 2025 to the basketball squad, somebody that I think might be able to have a chance to play day one. Let me share the screen with you as we move over here to Ethan Bach. Well, wrong one. There it is. All right. He was all over this. I've known about this for a couple of days. I don't think it was a huge secret, but certainly you want to let the kid make the decision. And these guys do make their, at the last minute, So here we go. We're going to catch a live video on Ethan Bach's page. The moment Kelvin Odih committed to West Virginia, 4-star guard.
I'll be furthering my academic and athletic career at the University of West Virginia.
Tell me that ought to make you happy now. That's pretty cool. Let me get this off of here. So now to find out a little bit more about Odih, we'll just go ahead and click on this article right here. And thank you to Ethan Bach for this. Although, let's see. All right, so let me share the screen with you guys. Stop sharing, present, share a screen. Okay. 2025 4-star guard Kelvin Odih commits to West Virginia. West Virginia picked up its first commitment in the class of 2025 from 4-star guard Kelvin Odih, who was a senior at SoCal Academy and visited WVU in late August. Everything was great. I really enjoyed my time over there, and the coaching staff was very welcoming, Odih said at the time to West Virginia Sports Now. Odih picked West Virginia over Louisville and Rutgers. During his visit, Odih took a liking to the coaching staff. Uh-oh. Too many ads. Coach DeVries, I really liked him. He's a very nice guy. He kept it real with me. He never promised me anything or sugarcoated anything to me, and that's something I very much respect about him. Odih is a top 80 prospect. See, I had read top 50 other places. I guess it depends on where you hear news. And got a chance to meet the former WVU and current New York Knicks guard Deuce McBride during his trip to Morgantown. That was probably pretty good. McBride, of course, had his pitch to West Virginia to the high school senior. Deuce was telling me about his experience at West Virginia and that if I were to come here, I would meet people who would become my lifelong friends, Odih said. The people that care about that people take care of people that come here. That's kind of a tongue twister. It's a big family state. They all take care of each other. WVU assistant Tom Ostrom, who led the recruiting on this, visited him in person in SoCal Academy in September. Odih most recently completed his visit to Rutgers. So let's check out a little bit of video on him. I was able to find some earlier. Let me see if I can still find it. He is a really, really good player. All right, let me get back to Ethan Bach's page. All right, so here is from West Virginia Sports Now, a little clip or two of him on cell phone footage. You can see he's really long and lanky. Nice back cut. Good athlete. Good on defense, which is what they really like. He's going to play well for the team. Nice. And, of course, like any Devries player, he's got to be able to shoot the ball. Most likely if you come to a Devries team and you can't shoot it, you're really good on defense. So, and I think this kid's probably both from the things that I've read, but he's obviously got a nice jump shot as well. So this is a big pickup for the Mountaineers and something I'm definitely glad to see. Okay, let me get off of this screen. Michelle Weintraub, what's up? Son of Skeeters 9917. Cheers, beers, and Mountaineers. And hey, Smack, what's up? Our basketball team is looking exciting for this year and as well as the future. Can't ask for too much more considering where we were last year. Wow, that's correct. No doubt about that. This is a good one. This is a big one. Something to be excited for, something to build upon, no doubt. For me, I think getting Ostrom back was a big one because he was truly Darren's, one of, if not his right-hand guy at Drake, from what I understand, and a huge part of the recruiting process for the team. And you look at the teams they had put together there over the years, and I don't know all the ins and outs. I would like to have Dusty on here or something to talk more about how they recruited at Drake, but the guards, if you look at the history of guards that they've gotten, really good. They really do well with guards. They know what they want. They know what fits their mold. And now you look and they're scaling that up. They would have never got a player like this at Drake. It's rare. Like, obviously Tucker is the one-off because Tucker was a 4-star player, but his dad was the coach. So that one really don't count. But, they've been able to take, like, KJ Tenner's a good example. Not because I don't think KJ Tenner is amazing. I do. I've seen enough. I think KJ Tenner is great. But because of his size, I don't know that he gets a offer at West Virginia, which is why he was basically committed to Darian Devries at Drake, right? And KJ Tenner has been maybe the most, he's in the conversation for most impressive, at least before we had the trip to Italy. Maybe the most impressive player on the team thus far. Like Darian DeVries has said on two occasions that I can think of that KJ Tenner is capable. He would trust him to run the offense today as a true freshman. So obviously he knows what he's looking for in a guard, and I love Tenner, man. I'm rooting for him tough. This team, I believe, will come together and be a good team. It's going to be interesting, and I can't wait, guys. We're literally like a month away. That's it. We're like a month away from basketball season. We're going to be catching it right at the end of football season, obviously. But just to update the roster, let me just pull it up here. Okay, so that is now, and I just don't want to miss anybody, so I'm just going to pull it up. Okay, so we've got Eduardo Andre, who's a 5th year out of London, England, in Arizona Compass Prep, Arizona, also Fresno State. I did not know he was from England, I'm not going to lie. We've got Joseph Yesufu, who is a 5th year kid from Bolingbrook, Illinois. A lot of you guys know about my history. I had a fun time at Bolingbrook, Illinois one time, if you know what I'm talking about. Then you got Dylan J., who is a freshman from Washington. You've got KJ Tenner, a freshman from Memphis. Great basketball scene in Memphis. Aiden Tagaloa Nelson continues to be registered on the staff. I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I'm going to reach out to Aiden and find out once and for all if he's actually still on the team, because I don't know why they would keep him beyond emergency. Okay, I don't think he's a D1 player I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Toby O'Connie, 5th year, Orange, New Jersey. Javon Small, senior, South Bend. Do you get the idea here? Look at this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seniors on this team. Age mixed with, let's see, mixed with 1 freshman, 1 sophomore, 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, 3 sophomores, 4 sophomores, 4 freshmen, 4 sophomores. So you've got 8 seniors, 4 freshmen, 4 sophomores. Am I doing the math wrong there? That seems like too many players. Okay, so we've got 1 Harris Elizovich, who is a senior. That's 1 senior. Abraham Oyedie, who is a freshman. You got a 5th-year senior in Jaden Stone. You got a sophomore in Amani Hansberry, a senior in Tucker DeVries, a freshman in Jonathan Powell, sophomore in Sincere Harris, sophomore in Ofri Nabe. Jake Auer is a 5th-year senior. Javon Small's a senior. Toby O'Connie's a 5th-year guy. And then we talk about Aiden Tugalo Nelson, who I don't think is going to be on this year's team. So, interesting, man. 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see. I guess if you don't count, let's see, 1, 2, 3. It's daggone mouse keeps on. It's herking and jerking and messing up my count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So, okay. So I was thinking like there's no way there's 16 players, but if you count the guys that aren't on scholarship, I guess that's what they got. So you've got 8 seniors, 4 freshmen, and 4 sophomore. No juniors on this team. So that was a very long-winded way to say that, but yeah. So interesting. I got to be honest, man. That's a pretty balanced-sounding team, and I'll be interested to see how it comes together. My cat just put her cold nose to my foot, and it was like – but for those of you listening on podcast, my cat just sniffed my foot, and it kind of startled me. So, yeah, I feel good about the coaching staff as well. And when you look at it, it's a nice staff. It's definitely no offense. And look, we had West Virginia guys on last year's staff. So nobody wanted them to succeed more than I did. But you've got DeVries, Chester Frazier as the associate head coach, and then you've got Tom Ostrom as the assistant coach, probably number 1, Corey Bennett, assistant coach number 2, Nick Norton, who's the player development guy, and you've got Cavell Witter, who is also an assistant coach, along with then you got Nelson Hernandez, who is the basically the GM, but they label that director of player personnel and recruiting. And who am I missing? Sturts. You got Sturts, who is basically the director of operations. Am I missing anybody? They got Horn. The coach Horn is the strength and conditioning coach. And that's all I know off the top of my head. But it's a good staff. I really like. So I feel like it's going to be beneficial. And this is a great grab for them guys. This is going to be one of only many. I feel like this is the norm for this staff. I think with Ostrom and Frazier, you're talking about an elite set of recruiters. And man, if we were living in old times where it was all about recruiting and not portal, I really do believe we would be sitting pretty with these recruiters on this staff. So I do agree with what Tosh just said. We're going to have a young team next year, but at the same time, Tosh, you can bring in transfers and you can be old immediately. So I think you mean the players that we as long as the guys stay that are supposed to stay. Yeah. But you got, a few of these guys are going to be transferred. Like they're not, so, I mean, it could be as many as 2/3 of them could be gone. So it seems like now before the season begins, that's probably true, Tosh. But I also wouldn't be shocked if if it was like this year, Ofri Nabe is the only guy that's still here, right? or so we might only have 2 or 3 return next year, and then all of a sudden you're talking about having to fill 8, 9 guys. I don't think that's how DeVries' program is going to be. Just like Hugs really wasn't either. It wasn't like Hugs had a bunch of guys transferring either. The ones that did hurt, Oscar was a big loss, even though the locker room sucked when he was around. Wasn't a lot of turnover. In this situation, and what's crazy is there wasn't going to be if he had stayed either. Like the team we were supposed to have, the Josh Allert I lost with, because obviously when you lose the guys that we lost, we had guys at North Carolina, we had guys. We had Toussaint, obviously, with the Texas Tech. We had Mitchell, Kentucky. Like, obviously, had we added those guys to the team that won, I mean, they were almost a tournament team. 5 or 6 games below it, maybe. I'd have to go back and look at what their record was again. But you add those guys to that, and you're a tournament team. If Hugs coached them, even in the state he was in. I think, when somebody's struggling with a substance, and I don't want to get on a soapbox, but when somebody's struggling with a substance, a lot of times you'll see them start to really kind of mess up. And some people call them cries for help. I don't necessarily think that's what Hugs was doing. Sometimes the consequences just catch up, right? And so you saw him make comments that he would never make publicly, but that's because the addiction to that substance a lot of times will push you further and further in a direction that you normally wouldn't go in public anyway. And so then he got caught driving drunk again, which who knows how often he did that. But certainly you become more brazen in different areas when you're using a substance more. And I think his coaching was suffered as a result, unfortunately. That's what I think. And I don't know how he would have done with the team. Part of me wants to think that the staff would have held it together and they would have been okay. But certainly they weren't playing with the same edge, So a lot of people were upset about the Hugs loss, and I know I'm off in a different direction here, but it's nice to have this fresh start too, even though I miss Hugs. For everything I've read about DeVries, I don't see a high turnover rate. Yeah, and that's because he's good at keeping his kids around. He's very loyal. And as you see, Kelvin Odih said it, right? He said, look, he didn't promise me or sugarcoat anything. He didn't promise or sugarcoat anything. So that's the way I look at it. And that's one of the reasons why he'll eventually keep people. Stick around before we wrap this one up, guys. We're only going to go about 20 minutes on Locked On West Virginia. When we get back on the other side, we'll talk a little bit more. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. When you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, utilize play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. All you got to do is place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. And as I looked earlier, still a +3 at home, West Virginia, Iowa State. Iowa State, a favorite, but not a big favorite, as an almost top 10 team on the road. Let's see if any money heads West Virginia's way as we head further towards the coal rush game, as I like to call it now. Go to FanDuel and keep up with it, guys. All right, we're back. So we're going to pretty much end the show here. There wasn't a lot to talk about. I wanted to cover this player. And for those of you that weren't around in the beginning, I'll go over it one more time. So Kelvin Odih, who, some people say top 80, some people say top 50. We'll just go with top 80 since that's what they reported out of West Virginia Sports Now. So let's see. Get the basics here for you. All right. So 4-star guard, 4-star small forward Kelvin Odih. Kelvin Odih, it's Kelvin Odih. I'm assuming that's Odih or Odih. I'm not sure. Commits to West Virginia. And there's a video on Ethan Bach's profile, if you want to go check that out, where he basically says, hey, look, I'm going to commit to West Virginia, right? And then there's an article on there where he talks about why. And that's when he goes into, hey, look, they didn't sugarcoat anything, right? Coach DeVries didn't sugarcoat anything. So he's actually a small forward. So I apologize. I said guard earlier, but I seen him doing guard stuff. And these days, I mean, he's only 6'4", right? So that's like, to me, that's in that, 2 to 3 range. I mean, he could probably play some guard, but officially he's a 6'4", 190-pound forward who plays prep ball in Southern California Academy in Costaic, California. He's the number 11 small forward in America and the number 6 small forward from California, telling you how good California basketball is, according to 247 Sports Composite rankings. He's also the number 56 player in the country in those rankings. So that's what I'm saying. You've got one outlet reporting that he's 80, top 80. You got another one saying he's 56. He chose WVU over offers from Rutgers, Louisville, and more. And he is also the first WVU commit from Rhode Island since Joe Mazzulla. So what I found interesting about that is, did you think about how hot Rutgers basketball is right now? Really hot. And obviously Louisville, they just picked up their new coach. Braden Hawthorne, the first player in WVU's 2025 recruiting class, committed to the Mountaineers last week. And I think I covered that on the other show, but if I didn't, he's a 6'8", 175-pound forward from Huntington Prep. So he's you'll know him if you see him. He looks like Kevin Durant kind of. So pretty interesting stuff. Thank you, Tosh. We offered Trent McLean today, who is Kelvin's teammate. I did see that. Thank you. I rock the mic like a FanDuel. That's what Vanilla Ice said. Yeah. This is a great time to have a team full of transfers and new coaches. Every program these days is filled with transfers and major changes year to year. Exactly. Hey, Smack, thank you. Let's everyone celebrate by hitting the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you, sir. And thank you guys for joining me here on Locked On West Virginia. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I got to run, but I wanted to cover this and get this out before the end of the evening. So I'll be covering more basketball on here. I've got an announcement coming about the other channel. Probably I won't be on it anymore, but that's my choice. And you'll see why. But we'll do that in the next couple of days. But so everything basketball is going to be here now, and we'll cover the rest later. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Locked On West Virginia. We'll talk at you tomorrow. We got more to talk about. I got more Iowa State people coming on to talk ball. I'm going to talk to an Iowa State basically podcaster or writer every day this week. So we'll find out a lot about the Cyclones as we move along. Good night, guys.